Welcome back to the She Cultivates podcast. My name is Elizabeth Savillon, and thank you for joining me on this week's episode. Here we talk all things cultivating our best selves and community, and on this week's episode, we are talking all things hosting intentional events and what that looks like from my 4 to 5 years of experience already in hosting intentional events in person. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, leave a review. I would love to hear what you're loving, what you would love to hear more about. And also, if you are an Orlando girl and you would love to join our She Cultivates community, make sure to check it out. Down below, we have different links where you can buy your ticket, be a part of the community, as well as all the perks when it comes to discount codes for you guys to host your own intentional events and guides for you. So in this week's episode, I wanted to talk about intentional events because as you see, there are so many communities that are starting within your area, within our community. And as things are growing, we need connection more than ever before. However, the difference between hosting an event and hosting a community event that's intentional is very different. And I would say over the past few years, I've learned that within my experience, but also as I continue to grow and learn from people that come into my events, the feedback that we get. And now is the best time to host an event and have something for your brand in person because people are looking for community. People are looking for a place to belong. People are looking for a place to look forward to going. And if you have a mission and you have a clear vision of what that will look like for someone, like I think that you should go for it. I know a lot of people ask me, they're like, okay, how did you start? I started actually doing this in a coffee shop. So when I started my podcast in 2020, after COVID, I was looking for a space to just connect with people again. I was also going through my social anxiety, and through that, I actually brought an in-person at a coffee shop. I did a panel, and just being there in person, it just felt amazing, like just bringing people together. And that grew from just the coffee shop connection to then doing things with my friends where we actually hosted like a gather and paint night. And then from there, it led to a vision board party. But really, at the end of the day, the core message and what we wanted was to cultivate community and have a space where people can connect and just have fun and find a place where you can find your people. And now what I see is that I feel like a lot of events are growing and popping up and all of that. But if you don't stay true to the message, it's like that's when it can get messy. It can feel scattered. Your guests are like, okay, what is even happening here? So how you differentiate yourself from other events that are happening, it's focusing on what you want the people and the guests that are going there to experience. How do you want them to feel? What do you want them to take away from the event? Because a lot of times we get lost in the logistics, the planning, the decoration, but then we forget that it's like people can come in and out of your event if you're not intentional about it. And if you're not also being aware of who's there. Because again, as a host, like I sometimes the day of, I'm like, oh, I would love to talk to more people. I would love to do interviews like on social media. I would love to, check in on everybody. But sometimes, most of the time, something happens that throws my attention somewhere else and I'm not able to catch those little things. So I have to prepare and before the event, have things in place where people can connect and have those people to assist with welcoming the guests, making sure that people know where they're going. And that takes time and preparation. A lot of the times we get stuck in all the other little things that we miss out the plot. And I feel like that is something that I have seen in the past few years, I would say, that because we want to create beautiful events, because we want to create Instagram worthy events, right? We lose the experience that we're providing for someone and we lose like, what is the goal? Like we're doing too much throughout the event that people are like, okay, where do I go? And that is something that can be, that you just have to remember, like, why am I doing this? What is the goal? And you can always add things throughout your experience. You can always, in the third event, you can add different things. We didn't have goodie bags when we first started. Now brands are such more open than ever to work with communities, to work with different brands. But in the beginning, that was not the case. And so what you would get is your activity, within the ticket price. And then it evolved to like, okay, providing food or drink. And some of the times, like with food, that is a huge cost at your event. So then it's like, okay, is it like, are they coming here for the food, or are they coming here for the conversation, or what are they trying, what is the goal here? So if that is like a workout class, like that is what you're marketing, all the extra stuff is just additional to. Or if it's the connecting part, are you facilitating that connection? So that, are you having an activity where actually people engage? And no, it does not have to be, speed friending or, connection cards, but it has to be some moment that's intentional that you as the host say, hey, this is what we're going to do now, so that you guys can meet people. Because it is very difficult to just put people in a room and expect them, and a little unrealistic, to be honest, because unless you're in that networking mindset at a business conference, that's when you're like, okay, I'm on. But half of the time, like if someone comes into your event, does an activity, what is that person's journey throughout your event? And so you being intentional and clear of like, where are they supposed to go? Having people or volunteers that help you out. I know that is not realistic for most communities when they start, but even if it's 2 people and it's like, hey, like we're going to have this activity and hey, can you lead this? Or we're going to have different stations there, and people are going to, we're going to have some kind of connection or like introduction where people can introduce themselves, or you even as a host can say, hey, so before we start, if you can look to your left or the right, and if you don't know anybody, like take a moment to introduce yourself, because these are the people that you're working out with. These are the people that you're hanging out with for the next 2 hours. These are the people that you're going to be here with. So introduce yourself, and then you give that moment. So not always is it that you physically have to give something, but it's you facilitating, and that comes from the host. And so having clear direction at your event is super important. Having confidence when you speak, as a host, and that takes time and that takes practice. I know there's times that literally I forget everything that I'm going to say, and I write a whole bunch of notes. Like I literally go through my notes and I'm like, okay, did I say that? Did I say that? No, I didn't. Oh, forgot to do that. And sometimes it has honestly cost me, especially when we're working with brands or sponsors. That is so important to have them written down. But there's moments that in the moment, right, that you're in front of everybody, you can blank out, and that's a very normal thing. You can practice, you can prepare, but we also have moments that, you're just like, where was I going with that, So it's going to come with practice, and it's also not about perfection. And half of the time, what's going to stop you is wanting to be perfect, having all the things your first event, having it be so, so perfect and like so Pinterest ready, when at the end of the day, that is not the goal. Always going back to the goal and the purpose of your community is so important. Another thing that I see is that if you don't define the purpose, then it gets so lost within everything that you do, because people also feel the energy within a space. Like right when you come in, you feel the vibe or the culture within a community. And that is set by the event host and all the chaos that's happening. This past event that we had in March, it was a Women's Connection Social at the Renaissance Orlando, which we're super grateful for, that we partnered with. And we were doing an outdoor event. We were doing like a garden, spring, party. And that we told everyone to wear dresses and spring colors, and everybody delivered, which I loved. But around like Thursday, so the event was Saturday around 4, and around Thursday I saw that the weather was like maybe going to be cloudy or raining, and I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? So we created this whole plan B in case it rained, but the day of, we're like, okay, we're going to call it. So if like by this time when we're going to start setting up, it's going to be rainy or windy, like we're going to go inside. Well, when we got there, it was fine. And it was like, wow, like this is such a beautiful day and it's so nice and like it's not going to rain. And so we started setting up everything outside. Around maybe like 30, 45 minutes in, the wind was winding. And we're like, okay, like the weather says that it's going to be fine, but like there may be like some wind that's going to come. But we're like, okay, like everything seems fine, so we'll keep it outside. As the time keeps going on and the event starts, the wind gets worse. And it's not even the rain, it's the wind that literally starts just tunneling through the place, and everything's moving, and umbrellas are flying, and tables are falling, and things are falling. And in that moment, I freaked out, and I was like, oh my Lord, like, what do we do? Like, it's everything, like, people are coming in. A lot of new people are here that have never been to an event before. And it just seemed like chaos, to be honest. Like, everything was like just spread out. Like, it was not, I feel like it was not organized. It was not at the standard that I had envisioned to do it outside. And so as tables were falling and it just kept happening, it was like, nope, I'm going to call it. Like, we are going inside. We have to figure out our plan B. Mind you, like, vendors had already set up their tents. People were already up there. People had been there for like 2 hours setting up. So I felt so bad, like, to have to transition that, you know? And in that moment, it was like, okay, but the safety of everybody else matters more, you know? But it's like also us making sure to feel calm, cool, and collected, to not feel like the chaos, because it felt like chaos in the moment. And as an event person, right, and an event host, is like, you just feel like the weight of that and the pressure of, like, you know, people are probably like, oh my God, like, do they not know what they're doing? And that's like the internal dialogue, right? But externally, it's trying to stay calm, cool, and collected. And I did feel like the anxiety, and it was like, okay, we are going to get the team. Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to transition inside. And then I made an announcement, and it started transitioning inside. And it was like literally like ants running back and forth, you know, going to help the vendors move their tables, to help the backdrop, to help our She Cultivates table, our team, and like the high tops and everything, and transitioning everything inside. And in the moment, I feel like we all were like trying to stay calm, because we know that our energy shows up and it sets the tone for everybody else. And I'm sure, right? Like, maybe someone saw me and they're like, she is so freaking stressed, because it was a lot. But I really tried to like internalize it. And then once we moved inside, everything flowed. Like, people were connecting, people were talking, they were loving the activities, like, they were still able to see the vendors, they were still able to enjoy the event. And towards the end, one of the guests came up to me, and she's like, well, like, it's like, despite, like, you know, the whole transition inside, like, it was such a great event. Like, I'm so thankful for it. Like, I made so many connections. Like, and she's like, you don't even look stressed. Like, how do you feel? And I'm like, girl, I was stressed. I'm glad you didn't pick up on that. But that just showcases how much it has to do with us, you know, because we had transitioned and made a plan B. We set everything inside, and it was like, all right, continuing the party, you know, and like, we'll deal with the emotions later. And that's how it happened. And a lot of that comes on us as the event host. And that's why it's so important to be intentional with everything that you do, and remembering it's more about the experience. It's not even about those little things, because I loved the pictures outside. I loved like the outdoors and everything. But from this experience, it showed me, like, first, like, control the controllables. Second, it's like, things are going to happen, and it's how you handle it and how you navigate it through in front of everybody else. And it's also about, we care so much about those little things that don't really matter, but it's really about what they take away, what they came there for. And that was like, at the end of the day, what I wanted to make sure. Like, I feel like the freaking out was more, I just want to make sure everybody here leaves with what they were promised, connection, and that we were going to help facilitate that, and they were going to have moments of that. And then seeing around the room that everybody was just talking, and it was really organic. And I was like, wow, like, you know, we had our connection card set up, our station, and of course we had to move things around, but ultimately the goal was fulfilled, you know? And I'm like, that's when you know that it's like, it feels like you can't force it to feel like, you know, connected, or to feel intentional. Like, it has to be something that you plan certain things, but also let things flow, and not focus on all the little things that you cannot control, because that is the reality. And through doing events, like, for the past few years, like, I've just learned early on, like, that it's not about the little details, you know, and like, things are always going to happen at an event. But at the end of the day, the ones that you that don't go as planned, they're sometimes even better than you would have thought, And I feel like always remembering to be present when you're there and being like, all right, I'm here to also enjoy and connect with people and meet people, because people are there, like watching and observing. And that is a lot of pressure sometimes. People ask me, um, you know, would I love to do like bigger events, and I definitely think that that's, a goal to maybe do one event a year that's at a larger capacity. But I love the intentional, intimate events. We had over 60 people there, and it's a great number, 60. For our next event, we have 85 RSVPs, and it's like, okay, like this is amazing. But it's like, I also don't want it to feel like it gets lost what we're trying to do, which is connecting. Because again, like having a lot of people there is a great thing, right? An event where you're like, okay, we had this many people, but it's like, is that what success is to you? Is that what having an intentional event means to you? Like, how do you see success in your events? When people are connecting, when people are telling you that they met someone, or that they really connected with your brand or your mission, or they really loved the class that they wanted to do for the longest time and they're so glad that they got to do it. Or like, what does that look like for you? Because if you always gauge it on, if everything went perfect, if I made this many sales, if I had just all these perfect things that won't be that way every time, it's like, then you're going to feel frustrated as you do events. But if you always go back to like what your intentional goal is, then you will feel satisfied and you will learn so much more that way. And so after, on my way home, I was like, okay, like that was a lot, but I feel like it needed to happen, because that's just the reality. And we haven't had one of those like running around moments in a very long time since we started She Cultivates, and the team did amazing, and I'm super, super grateful for the support. But again, all of that has come because of time and because people believe in the mission of She Cultivates. People believe in my why. People believe in our why. But if it was lost of like, okay, we just want to do like a cute event, and bring all these people, like it gets lost, because it's like, what's the plot? Like, what's the purpose, And to build longevity within events and community building, because that's really the core of what it is. It's consistency. It's showing up time and time again. It's showing value time and time again. It's being genuine. It's actually connecting with people. And there's going to be people that come into your community and they're like, this is not my thing. And hey, that's fine. And there's going to be people that come into your events and they're like, this is exactly what I needed. This is the community that I've been looking for. And these are the events that no matter what day they're on, no matter what time, no matter how much, no matter whatever, like they will be there. And those are the people that you need to focus on. Those are the people that are your hype people and your VIPs. And like, those are the people that you do what you do for. And so just remember that people don't remember all the little details, but they'll remember how they felt leaving, what they got from it. And when they recap, right, like your event, it's like, this is what I did. And like, I'm so glad that I was able to do this, So even if you don't have a big audience, that's another thing. Like people think it's about the numbers and about how many people show up, but it's like you learn so much through the 5 people, the 10, the 20, the 30, the 40. And that's how you grow and that's how you evolve, and that's when you see like what works, what doesn't work. And just remember, it's like, do not get lost in all the little details. It's about how people feel, and also seeing like throughout my journey of doing events for 4 to 5 years. And even before, I actually found a picture of myself in college. And I just remember like how much passion and purpose I have felt connecting people, bringing people together. I've hosted countless Bible studies. I've hosted many parties. And I just ultimately, like, it just feels amazing when you see everybody having a good time and everybody connecting and everybody just feeling like their guard down and they're just like at ease, and that comes with having a clear plan, having a clear purpose, structure, and honestly remembering always staying true to what your why is. So even as years have gone on, that's one thing that I'm super proud of She Cultivates, is that we've stayed with what our mission is to cultivate community within Orlando, connect people, be a kind place where people feel welcomed. And that, of course, shows up in different ways, but the goal is always the same. So I know that I've had so many different women ask me, like, okay, how did you do it? How have you been doing it? Now that it's, I would say, something that a lot of people want to do within their brand or business, or if you're a speaker, or if you're an influencer, it's like you want to host and bring women together. And so that's why, like, I created the guide for that purpose, because I know how hard it was to start. I didn't have a clear vision. I was like, okay, where do I go from here? And so I literally wrote down a roadmap from A to Z of what that would look like, from, getting your why, setting a theme, from what messaging, with sponsors, for how to host, like, how do you get people in a room? Like, what do you even say, and like the follow up, like, how do you post on social media? Like, what are some ideas that you can use? And also utilizing She Cultivates as a way that you can see and get inspiration of different ways that may work for you, being clear of the messaging and remembering that it's the long game, and it's not just about doing one event a year, right? Even if that's your goal, like, great. But if you're wanting to cultivate community, that takes time and intention, and so if that is something that you're interested in, make sure to check out our show notes below, because that guide is for you. And I definitely believe if you have that in your heart, you should go for it, because you never know what can come from it. You never know who's looking for your community. And if you already have a community and you just want a little bit more guidance and like a one-on-one of like, okay, this is what I'm doing, what's working, what's not, and just have someone there that you can talk to about events, I've created also a one-on-one coaching where we talk about like what that looks like, a little like making a plan, and it's more tailored to exactly the event and community that you're hosting. So make sure to check out the show notes below, and there's a discount code that you can use as well for that, because I love that people are building community, and I know how hard it was when I started, and I would love to help you do the same. So as we're wrapping up this episode, I just want you to think of a few things. What is the purpose of your community? What's maybe holding you back from even starting, your community? And how would you want people to feel when they leave your event in your community? Because those are the great questions that I feel like it's important to know when you're first starting. And just remembering that community is cultivated through time, and it's going to take time. And people will, start an event and, do something. But if you want to differentiate yourself, you have to always go back to your why and being intentional, and remembering that it's not about having perfect events. It's not about having the most aesthetic events. It's about the impact that you're doing. And so even every time that I think about the best compliments that have come from my events, it's really when someone says, I stepped out of my comfort zone and came here and I didn't know anybody, and I'm just glad that I did it. Or I am so glad that I came to this event, because I felt a little intimidated by being around women, and this is my first time, and I just felt so just welcomed and accepted, and I love it. Like, I'm so glad that I came. Or, this is my first girls' night in a very long time, because I'm a mom and I just wanted to connect with other women and talk about things that we all struggle with. And I found someone here, and I'm just super excited. And that is really why we do what we do. So I hope that encourages you and just is helpful, because I will be doing a series this month on all things intentional events, because I know how hard it has been for me and the walking through the journey. So if you have any questions about how to host an intentional event or community, make sure to comment down below, message me, and I would love to answer it here as well. Thank you for joining me on today's episode, and make sure to share this with a friend, share this with someone that's maybe starting a community or wants to, and I'll see you guys next week.